Everything we're going through in this video, we're going to go through a recap and timeline of the buying and selling of her masters originally back in 2019, the back and forth between her and Scooby Snack and Scott Bruschetta and all of that, her coming out and announcing that she would be doing the re-recordings, all the publishing rights that she has maintained since her masters have been bought and sold, her legal ability to block future projects using her old music, her following through with this and releasing Fearless and Red Taylor's versions last year, the copyright lawsuit she is going through right now with Shake It Off, all the trademarks she has filed for the rest of the 4 albums that she has yet to release, and essentially what I think is going to happen next. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Nina. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you, and if you're not new, thanks for coming back. So last month I posted a video going into great detail about the theory that Taylor Swift has a scrapped album called Karma. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below and up here. And you guys seem to really like that video, and it's so fun for me to go and do all this research and kind of pull together all these little details and Easter eggs. Honestly, it's just fun. I had a couple people commenting like, stop putting out fake news. There's no album, it's just like a myth. But honestly, it's just for fun. It's not like we actually expect Taylor Swift to like release anything that she doesn't want to. It's just kind of like coincidentally there's all these things that lead to the fact that we think this might be true. But today I decided we were going to do another little deep dive and go into the Taylor Swift re-recording process. I kind of wanted to make a video explaining the whole process and also just connecting the dots and bringing everything together, everything we know about her re-recording process, everything that has happened. I actually learned so many things I didn't know about masters and record labels and like all that kind of stuff. So as you can see, there's a lot of information I'm going to be going over here, so I'm going to be trying to be quick and concise in this so that you guys basically just get the gist of what's going on here. So let's just get into it. Okay, so all of this started when Taylor Swift left her original record label that she had been with since 2005, Big Machine Records, which is owned or was owned by Scott Bruschetta, or as I like to say, Bruschetta. She wrote this really amicable letter to them on Instagram just explaining her choice to not renew her contract with Big Machine and to sign with a new label, Universal Music Group, UMG. And she posted that in 2018. But she made that decision because she knew Scott was going to sell the label soon, therefore she would not have any control over her future, and so she did not want to re-sign with them. And so she signed with UMG because they guaranteed her that she'd be able to own all of her master recordings, and so why wouldn't she do that? And up until that point, Taylor had not said anything negative about Big Machine or Scott. She kind of made peace with it and decided, you know, that she was just going to move on and hoped that her 15 years with him was enough for him to be loyal to her and know that her music was in good hands. Because at the end of her letter, she says, I want to thank Scott for believing in me and, you know, taking a chance on me when I was 14, all that stuff. It just made sense to take this other deal because they were offering her everything she wanted and also like a healthier future for the music industry and that the artists would get to own their work. So yeah, great. Everything's good. We've moved on. Then, on June 20th, 2019, it was announced that Scott Bruschetta was selling the Big Machine label, including all of Taylor's old master recordings, to Scooter Braun, aka Scooby Snack, for $300 million. Obviously, we know what happened with all of that. Taylor was obviously devastated and wrote this big long letter saying how disgusted she was and how she can't believe that Scott had betrayed her in that way since he knew the history that she had had with Scooter and his clients and how they bullied her online. He's just been nothing but not a nice person to her, and to have him be in control of all of her music, it was just heartbreaking. Of course, a lot of people stood up for her, showed a lot of support for her, and I don't think they realized what they had done. They messed with the wrong person in the wrong fandom because they could have never anticipated that Taylor would take this stand and do what nobody thought she was going to do, which would be to re-record all the albums and release them herself so it diminishes the value of her old music. So Lover came out, and in an interview, I think right after Lover came out, she she confirmed that she would be re-recording all the music, and they asked her, the interviewer, and she was said, oh, absolutely, I will be doing that. I guess they just didn't think anyone was crazy enough to spend the time to re-record 6 albums, literally over 100 songs. Like, that's gonna be a lot of work, but Taylor always does stuff out of principle. Like the whole lawsuit with her sexual assault lawsuit, she countersued them for $1. It's never about the money, it's about the principle in like the future of the industry. So legally, in her contract with Big Machine, she would be able to re-record her first 5 albums starting November 2020. And she said, I would absolutely start as soon as I can. And I think at this time, this was in 2019, so she had a year to start planning. And I do think that she has this all planned out. I mean, she had a lot of time to figure it out. You know, in the midst of also making Folklore and Evermore, I think she was definitely being very meticulous. Obviously, she's very smart. One of the smartest artists out there with what she does and the timing of everything. And so I'm gonna have to make a whole separate part 2 video to just go through all the Easter eggs that she has put out there over the last couple years for these re-recordings. But continuing on, in November 2019, Taylor was going to be honored at the AMAs as the Artist of the Decade, and so she wanted to perform a medley of her greatest hits, which included her old music, and Scoot Scoot was preventing her from doing so, saying, I think they were just like saying that she can't do it. She had to wait until November 2020 to do so, but she wrote another post online. Gosh, it's crazy how much social media can change the outcome of things, because she wrote that and everybody was so mad and everybody was like, let Taylor sing, let Taylor sing. And so eventually, somehow, she was allowed to sing her songs on the stage. She was just saying how crazy it is that these men that had no hand in creating the music had so much control over it because she wrote them. It's her songs. But I kind of wanted to move into the technicalities of this and the legality of everything. So the reason Taylor is actually able to re-record these songs exactly how they were created in the first place is that even though she doesn't have the master's rights to it, she has the synchronization rights or the publishing rights to these songs. The difference between masters and publishing rights is that the master's rights are the actual recording that was created originally. So that physical file of that song that was created, you know, back in the day, 2008, 2012, whatever. The original recording of that song is what they own, the label owns. Thank God Taylor Swift maintained her publishing and sync rights, because these allow for the artist to re-record a song essentially. So if you are singing a cover song and releasing it, you can get a publishing license to sing that song in like a video, music video or whatever. By re-recording the albums, Taylor is covering her own songs because she is the artist of the songs. I know it's kind of confusing in that way, but how the publishing rights works is that if somebody wants to use a song in a TV show or a movie trailer or whatever, they need permission from the master's license, but they also need permission from the sync rights owner or the publishing owner. So because Taylor Swift has maintained those rights, she is allowed to block certain projects from happening with her old music, which is a loophole I don't think they saw coming, and they didn't think she was going to use her power to do that, which why wouldn't she, honestly? But on November 16th, 2020, Scoot Scoot sold Taylor Swift's masters for over $300 million to a group called Shamrock Holdings. He profited $140 million off of her music, which is insane. Taylor later revealed that she had spent months with her team trying to get through to Scooter, to negotiate, to try to get, to see if he would sell them to her. And essentially he wouldn't even talk price or finances unless she signed an NDA saying that she would never speak negatively about him ever again, like in public or anything, which is so weird. And she said her lawyers and everyone said that is not a normal request. Basically, she was saying these masters were not for sale to her, which is so crazy that people would stoop that low, because she obviously has the money to buy them and own them. But anyways, so then Shamrock Holdings, I think, reached out to Taylor, and basically she said she would have been willing to work with Shamrock Holdings, but as long as Scooter was still profiting off of her music, it was a non-starter. So she just left it as it was. She was already starting the re-recording process. Again, just more drama, unnecessary things, because these men like to have control over her. I don't know why. I don't know what's the obsession. So back to the publishing license, Taylor Swift has been able to block certain projects that she Shamrock Holdings is trying to use her old music for. The reason that Taylor Swift's new music is being used in, TV shows like The Summer I Turned Pretty, there was a bunch of Taylor Swift songs in that show, is because she is the master and publishing rights owner to her new re-recorded versions, as well as her songs from Lover, Folklore, and Evermore, which is just so lovely. In addition to the sync licenses that she has retained over the years, there's a clause in her original 2005 contract with Big Machine preventing her from re-recording her songs, but it has just expired. And come November, all of her music is going to be able to be recorded, including Reputation, which she had to wait another 2 years to re-record. Obviously, Reputation will not be the next one to be recorded because she is not legally allowed to record it until November of this year. But obviously, Taylor Swift's old music is going to keep diminishing in value as she keeps coming out with her new re-recorded Taylor's versions of all of her music. So moving on to the re-recording era, the Taylor's version new age of all of these albums coming back to life. And last year was such a great year because she announced Fearless Taylor's version in February. It came out in April. She had the original 13 tracks plus the Fearless Platinum version tracks. Today was a Fairy Tale single, and also 6 brand new songs that were from the Fearless Vault that never made it on the album in the first place. And I think she was so smart to add that because then it gives people an extra incentive to buy her new version over her old version, although I would do it anyway out of principle. And I think everybody is understanding that, and everybody is taking this very seriously, making sure they're listening to the new Taylor's version and not streaming the old version. Of course, if you have like a physical CD, that's not going to affect it that much, but in this day and age, streaming is super important, and the numbers don't lie because her new versions have been outstreaming her old versions all year, and it's just like so wild to see the success of these 2 albums that came out 10 plus years ago. I don't know how many people could do this and be this successful at it. So continuing on, it makes perfect sense why Fearless was the first re-release, since it was kind of like her breakthrough album, even though her debut album really it did well for a brand new artist that is on a brand new label, but Fearless really catapulted her into the spotlight. It was her first Grammy. She won numerous awards, and Love Story was just a breakthrough hit. So many amazing achievements that she made during that era. It made sense why she would want to go re-record that one first, because it was just kind of like her iconic coming into the spotlight album. Obviously, because of the pandemic, there wasn't any promotion or TV appearances or performances or anything like that. It was still really fun, and there was TikToks and there was all kinds of stuff. Then in June last year, she announced that Red would be next, and we really didn't see that one coming because she had been dropping Easter eggs that led to 1989 all spring long. She came out with merch that looked like 1989. She went on talk shows and had these little Easter eggs and just different things that everyone's like, oh my god, 1989 is coming next, and then she announces Red. Also thrown off because Wildest Dreams Taylor's version had been used in a movie trailer, I think it was in February, so everybody truly thought it was oh, this is the first single from 1989, she's gonna announce that. So no surprise, Red's coming. And then randomly in October, she decided to, or was it September? In September, Wildest Dreams went viral on TikTok and there was a trend, and so she decided to just release Taylor's version so people would start streaming her version and not the old version, the stolen version, which makes me think that she has recorded 1989. We'll get to why I think she's waiting on it in a second, but again, it makes sense that she wanted to release Red Taylor's version in the fall because it's a very autumn, winter kind of album, sad girl hour, hot chocolate, cookies type of vibe. And the release of Red was much more hyped up. There was TV appearances, there was the All Too Well short film, the premiere, I Bet You Think About Me music video, All Too Well 10-minute version, sad girl autumn version. There was just so much happening in that short time. She was doing interviews on television and just talking way more about the re-recordings and everything. There was a little Easter egg in one of the interviews where she said, "Come down the rabbit hole with us, we're all mad here," which leads me to believe that's kind of like a Wonderland 1989 kind of thing. But again, she has dropped so many 1989 hints and it's not here yet. And then last month, The Summer I Turned Pretty series came out on Amazon Prime. This Love Taylor's version was featured and had come out as a single. So again, another song from 1989. It's out. out, but there's no announcement for the full album. This leads me to the next thing, which I think could set her back in terms of releasing 1989 Taylor's version. So currently there's a lawsuit over the lyrics in Shake It Off. In 2017, Taylor was being sued because there was a song that came out in 2001 called Players Gone Play. And so the writers of that song are suing Taylor because the lyrics are similar. In the original song, Players Gone Play, I think that's what the phrase is, players gonna play, haters gonna hate. Basically, Taylor's team tried to get the case dismissed because they were saying it's a generic phrase. It's like saying drummer's gonna drum, runner's gonna run. It's not like a very unique phrase. So for that reason, in 2018, the case was actually dismissed because they said the phrase lacked uniqueness and creativity to be kind of like an original lyric you can sue somebody about. But then that ruling was reversed last year in December, saying that there are definitely noticeable differences in the song, but enough similarities that it deserves to go to trial. So that was a big bummer because honestly, it should not even be a thing. It just seems so silly to get sued over a literal 3-word phrase. Players gonna play, like what? But that jury trial is scheduled for August 2022, this year. So that kind of makes me think that Taylor Swift cannot release 1989 until this is all cleared up because Shake It Off is the lead single from 1989. But I feel like I know she has recorded that album. She is just kind of waiting for the green light because it has been a year since she announced Red, which makes me think at the time she announced it, she was probably almost done or done with it. So that means it's been a whole year since she recorded Red, Taylor's version. I don't know if she took time off, but that's a long time. And so I'm assuming she has been working during this year. She's made like no public appearances since the Taylor's version back in, I think it was December, maybe like her birthday was like the last thing she did, but she's been very quiet on social media over the past 6 months, which makes me suspicious. In regards to the other albums, Speak Now and Debut, that are eligible to be put out right now, I was getting a little confused with the trademarks because Taylor Swift has filed for trademarks for all of her albums. I was like surprised at the amount of trademarks. I'll put in a screenshot, but she has so many trademarks and anybody can go look this up and read them and everything, but a lot of them are still pending, but it doesn't mean she can't release the album while the trademark is still pending. So she has trademarks for Taylor Swift Taylor's version, Fearless Taylor's version, Red Taylor's version, Speak Now, all the Taylor's versions, and not all of them are confirmed yet. But unlike last year, I think this year we probably are only gonna get one either re-recording or I don't even know, maybe Taylor Swift will release a whole new album. We really don't know. But I think Taylor Swift has a plan. She knows exactly what she's doing. I feel like the only album she hasn't hinted at that's being recorded is the debut album, and I think it would be so funny if she just showed up out of nowhere and announced that that would be the next one. I think that one is going to be very interesting since it's super country. She was 16 when she put out that album, and it's just very different from where she is today, and her voice is so much more mature and like vocally so much better. But I have a feeling she's gonna save that for last just for sentimental purposes. So that is everything I wanted to go into super detail about the technicalities of the re-recordings and just legally, you know, what I think is happening and going to happen. And so I really want to do a part 2 to this video where I go through all of the Easter eggs Taylor Swift has dropped over the past couple years about the re-recordings, about what order she might be going in, essentially what is to come next from Taylor Swift. And I feel like the Easter eggs deserve its own separate video. And so I'm going to end this one here, but subscribe if you want to see that next video. I'm probably going to film that one next and put it up after this video. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you like this video. Let me know if you want me to do more talking, sit down, research type of videos because I literally spent 2 hours researching this yesterday and it was so fun. I'm glad you guys like talking about Taylor Swift and listening to me talk forever about it. Stay tuned for the Easter egg video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Did you notice I'm wearing Taylor Swift merch? I got my Lover shirt, awesome. Watch me be wrong about literally everything. Just a disclaimer that this is all in good fun. I just like researching Taylor Swift theories. This does not mean that they are in any way 100% accurate. I am like a full-time resident of Clownelia Street. Yeah, okay, bye.